Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Shalom, brothers. So, yeah, gonna get straight into the lesson, man, because that's madness, man. You know, so now guys believe in Paul minister to Edomites. That's a straight madness, man. It's clear, that during that time, Peter, Paul, you know, all the apostles, all the disciples, they had the understanding of who they were going to, you know. Matter of fact, the regular people had to understand it. This is John 7 and verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, the Jews being the wicked scribes and Pharisees, man. This was history that was common. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? The dispersed, who are the dispersed, a scattered dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, diaspora. So will he go amongst the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Will he go amongst the heathen and teach the Israelite foreigners, man? So they had to understand it, of who those people were, man, which goes back to the book of First Maccabees. Majority of the southern kingdom was there. So it was majority of the southern kingdom that they were sent to, who were Hellenized, according to First Maccabees, the first chapter, man, that left off their customs. Now we know there were remnant of northern kingdom that were still there. You read the Gospels about Anna the prophetess. She was of the tribe of Asher. And James 1:1, it says to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, greetings. So there were remnants of all 12 tribes that were there, but the majority of the people that were there was the southern kingdom. So it was clear and it was understood who these people were that they were sent to. This is matter of fact, we'll start with Peter. We'll start with Peter, because that's who it started. That's who the Lord chose to start with, because Peter was the head. Peter was the first to go into the Gentiles. This is Acts the 10th chapter and the 28th verse. This is what Peter saying unto Cornelius in his household. This is Acts 10 and 28. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But the Most High hath showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Any man common or unclean. How did the Lord show him? The Lord showed him by that vision of four-footed beasts and unclean animals. And the Lord said, arise and eat. And he said, not so, Lord. That vision happened 3 times. And what happened after that? 3 men came. So that was symbolic of Israel in a Gentile state of mind. They were unclean. And the Lord showed Peter, what he cleansed, you call not unclean, man. That's another lesson for another time, going into that dream and breaking it down scripturally, because we're called lions. Israel was called dogs. Israel was called worms. My heritage as a speckled bird. He's seen all these different animals within them, man, and that represented us, man. But it says that to come one of another nation. Now, if you read that, you think, see? No, dog. Look that word up. It's the Greek word alophulos. Alophulos. It says foreign. But the word alophulos is a compound word which comes from 2 Greek words. So let's find them out. This word, alos, which means another or other, and phule, which says a tribe. In the New Testament, all the persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob. So what Peter is saying is that it's unlawful to come to one of another tribe, man. Why is that? Because in the law, it says what? That whosoever shall not be circumcised. When you read Maccabees, they uncircumcised themselves, man. Spiritually and literally, When you read in the law, it says whosoever keep the Sabbath shall be cut off. So when you read the law, all these things that if you break it, you shall be cut off from your people. You know, that's why it was a big deal. Matter of fact, this is Ephesians 2 and verse 11. It says, wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh. Remember that you were a Gentile. Remember that you were in that state of mind, you know, who are called uncircumcision. You was called a heathen by that which is called a circumcision by the Jews. You was called a heathen by those who knew that they was Israelites, right? In the flesh made by hands, that at that time you were without Yahushai, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. You got a thing called a commonwealth of England today, you know, the commonwealth of the crown or whatever, you know. And what does that consist of? Australia, Canada, Ireland, the different areas that the crown controls, man. So a commonwealth is of Israel. What is the commonwealth of Israel? The 12 tribes, man. And strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world. But now in Yahushua, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahushua, man. That's our reconciliation, man. You know, that's how we come back to the Most High, man. It's through Yahushua. And that's what the wicked scribes and Pharisees, they didn't understand that. They stumbled at that stumbling stone, man, which a lot of guys is stumbling at the stumbling stone now, man, which is Yahushua, you know. So we're just gonna get hit a couple scriptures and show you that they clearly had clear had an understanding of who they went to, you know. You got 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and 1. It says, moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud. What cloud? And all passed through the sea. What sea? And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. Huh? What is he talking about? He's talking about the Exodus, man. Under the cloud, it was under that chariot that led us out, you know, and passed through the sea. What sea? Through the Red Sea, man. Who was there, man? Israelites. Corinth is what? In Corinth, Greece. So what is he talking to the Greeks? We know the Greeks during that time was Edomites. So what, was Esau with us? No, it wasn't, man. He's talking to Israelites who was Hellenized, man. That's who he's talking to. He's talking to Greek-speaking Jews, man. Simple and plain. Verse 3, and did all eat the same spiritual meat? And did all drink the same spiritual drink? For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Yahushua. But with many of them the Most High was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. So it's letting you know who it's talking about, man. He's talking to Israelites. Paul clearly is sending a letter to Israel. It's simple and plain, you know. 1 Corinthians 12:1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have ye ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Because that's what made us Gentiles. That's what made us heathens, man. Following after the customs of these heathens. You know? So it's very clear and obvious who's Paul writing to. You know? Um Satan just took it out of my mind. Salakia. I just had another one. But we'll just go to this one. This is I know it's in 2 Corinthians. Hebrews. Salakia. Bear with me 1 minute. 2 Corinthians 11 and 22. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Which we know Paul was of the seed of Abraham, because he said in Romans 11:1, I say then, have the Most High cast away his people? Yahweh forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So when you read Romans 9:1, it says, I say the truth in Yahweh Shai, I lie not, my conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continued sorrow in my heart, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Yahweh Shai for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, of the seed of Abraham, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh and the promises. The promises of the covenants was only given to Israel. Simple, plain. It says, whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Yahweh Shai came. Yahweh Shai only came for Israel. As concerning the flesh, who is over all, the Most High, blessed forever. Amen. You know? And it's plain. It's simple. You know? But, guys want to come and pervert the gospel, you know? And we're there, like the scripture says, to move the stones out of the way, man. To make that path clear, you know? Do as we were taught from the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, man, who taught our elders in our prospective camps, you know, and who in turn taught us. Bear with me. This is Romans 3, and well, it's good at the top. It says 3:1. What advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High. So the words of the Lord is only committed unto Israel. You know, it says, for what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? The Most High forbid. Yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mayest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. You know, so that's why we come out these scriptures, man. Precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. You know, this is not my own opinions, none of that, man. It's just straight out the scriptures. The point I want to get to is Romans, the 3rd chapter. Bear with me, brothers, 1 second. Is it the 3rd chapter? What am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? Salaki, brothers, I gotta grab my scriptures. Oh, it's the 2nd chapter. Salaki. The Spirit just brought it to me. It's the 2nd chapter. This is because it said thou art. Right, verse 17. Verse 17. This verse, I'm going to start at 16. It says, in the day when the Most High shall judge the secrets of men by Yahweh Shah Mashiach, according to my gospel. Behold, thou art called a Jew, and resteth in the law, and makest thy boast of the Most High, and knowest his will, and approvest the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law. You know? And this is a letter to who? The people that were in Rome, the Israelites that were in Rome, the Roman Israelites, right? It says, behold, thou art called a Jew. I mean, it's simple. It's plain, you know. Acts 16, I believe. 16, 18. Salakia. Acts 15 and 23, straight to the point. I started 22. Then it pleased the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren. So the apostles and elders, Peter, John, James, Jude, so forth and so on, right? It says, and they wrote letters by them after this manner. The apostles and elders and brethren send greetings unto the brethren, unto who? Unto the brethren having the same, what did it say? I clicked that too fast. Having the same national ancestor, belonging to the same people or countrymen, and a fellow believer united by another by the bond of affection. Well, you got to be an Israelite in order to believe in the first place, man. So it says what? Unto the brethren which are of the Gentiles in Antioch and Syria and Sicilia. Send greetings unto the brethren. Simple and plain, This is Acts 21 and 21. Yep, this is Acts 21 and 18. In the day following, Paul went in with us unto James, one of the apostles, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, this is Paul coming back from one of his journeys. And when he had saluted from going around converting the Gentiles, right? So let's find out who these Gentiles were. And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things the Most High had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai and said unto him, they said unto Paul, right? And when they heard it, when they heard the news from Paul, they glorified the Lord and said unto Paul, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews, of who? Of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law. Did they just call the people that Paul was sent to, those Gentiles that Paul was sent to, did they call them Jews? Yes, because they were Israelites, man. Because they were Israelites. Verse 21, and they are informed of thee. Who is the they? The wicked scribes and Pharisees. They are informed of thee, of Paul, that Paul teaches all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs. Because when you go back to Acts the 15th chapter, it was a whole deal about receiving salvation if you weren't circumcised. So we gonna end it on this scripture, because his lesson is for the sincere brothers who who are out there learning, and come across scoffers, or you might come across a question, or you might have the question of your own, It's Sirach 39 and 24. It says, as his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. And that's plain. And the ultimate stumbling block, is Yahweh Shai himself, man. So it's very evident that the people that Paul was sent to, those Gentiles, were Israelites. So Lord willing, I hope that was edifying. Until next time, all praises, honor, glory be unto Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. Double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us this word, man. Peace, blessing, salutations to all you brothers, across the globe, man, who's preaching the truth in sincerity and in charity, who's rightly dividing the word of truth directly and correctly. Blessing, salutations to you brothers and to you few sisters. Shalom.